Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to have two fellow Canadians here today, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be Canadian. So I want to thank Amy and Juby for coming here today.
Hello.
Hello.
I love it. Well, welcome back, both of you, which will be confusing for anybody who's like, Amy's never been on your podcast. Wait, I'm pretty sure Amy, ours comes out in like either it's January or December. I had to actually map it out that like the season finale for this pod. Well, Real Life with Stassi will have a different season finale, but like Unplugged will have like the finale is like February 7th, 2024.
Woo.
She's a scheduled girly.
A little far out, just a tad bit. But welcome back, both of you, podcast friends. For anyone that's their first podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. And for my returning listeners, you guys are awesome. I super love, coming back here. But anyways, before we get started, I want to do a quick round of introductions. Amy, you go first.
Oh, put me on the spot.
I know I'm putting you right on the spot.
Yeah, so my name is Amy. Well, not my real name, but technically my middle name, but hey, we'll go with that, Yeah, so I'm a Canadian simmer because that's the theme today's Canadians, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I've been simming for feels like thousands of years. But I mostly do builds and stuff and speed builds on YouTube and put stuff on Instagram and the old Twitter, and yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. So
I love it. Well, welcome back. Juby, welcome back.
Hello, nice to be here. My name's Juby. I am also a Canadian simmer. I think same thing. I've been like playing The Sims forever, but I've been mainly building since 2019, 2020, I'd say. I just like building things and I post them on places and people like them, and that's how I found the community.
I love it. But welcome ladies. What was your experience like to stumble? Do you guys remember who your other first Canadian simmer you talked to was, and like what was the experience knowing that like you weren't alone when it came to being a Canadian simmer?
oh my gosh, I have to think about this one because like same with Juby, like I started back in 2019, right? So
I'm trying to think because there's so many people that, to be fair, with privacy, they don't want to always say where they're from.
Yeah.
And so like for a really long time, I just said I was from the Pacific Northwest because
Okay.
that's where I am. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. And then I finally was like, oh, okay, I guess I can say Canada. And then shortly after I did that, I can't remember their username because this was so long ago, but there was one person that like messaged me and they were from, I want to say East Coast, like
Okay.
the maritime area, and they were like, "Oh my God, I'm from Canada too. It's like nice to meet another Canadian simmer." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh my God, we exist." Like it was weird because it almost felt like I was like the same level at that point. Like it's like there's really no difference between humans for me. Like we're kind of all the same in how we interact online in a way. But
Yeah.
it was like there was just a moment of like clarity and like familiarity when you meet somebody else that's like from your same country kind of
Hmm.
thing. I don't know. That was it for me.
I like it. Amy, how about you?
um I honestly can't remember usernames either because it was like a while ago now. But um but I just remember like when I joined, because I first joined Instagram and then I switched over to like joining Twitter as well. And that's when I started seeing more. I think there was like, I think it was like one or two people that were like from Canada, I guess. And then I
Mhm.
saw it on their profile because they had it listed and I was like, whoa, there's people from Canada that are simmers. So I don't know. I was pretty excited about that too because I was like, yeah, it's not many of us, but we're here. So
I love that. It was the same feeling of being like, holy shit, like I'm not like the only Canadian, because you see a lot of sippers be very proud of being like, oh, like I'm American, but I live in Brazil and I think these are the languages I speak and stuff like that. And kind of like GB, I used to hide that I was Canadian from the first year because I didn't think that like I'd be taken seriously.
yeah.
Because I know that sounds so weird.
No, I felt like that too. That's why I never put
Yeah.
it on my profile for a while. I think I still don't have it on there, but you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And then it was like a year ago, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna say I'm a Canadian. And then and people were like, oh my God, like you're Canadian, I'm a Canadian. Like I think it's just I think we're just so polite, and we're like, we don't want to cause like any drama, so like we're just Canadian, and we're just we're just here. I think the craziest thing is I did an interview the first season with a girl who currently lived in my hometown. And it was so much fun getting to chat with her because she was significantly younger than me, of being like, what was it like? What's it like for you to be in my hometown, like right now? And it's just stuff like that. But the most Canadian thing, and you ladies have to correct me if I'm wrong, is we talk about the weather like a lot.
Yep. All the time.
I'm pretty sure on Stassi and I's first time we did this podcast together, I think me and you literally had a 25-minute conversation about the weather.
Yes.
Like we just did on our very first time even meeting. It was kind of funny. I remember that.
I think it's so funny. That's literally how we like gate. It's like, oh, gonna be 18 tomorrow. It's gonna be sunny. Like we can't wait. Like we're always like so excited for the weather. Like if you're like if you ask an American being like, yo, what's the weather? Like, I don't know, it's like 90 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And then it just ends there. But what about like what's the weather gonna be like tomorrow? Or like the weekend? And they're like, I don't know.
I know the 10-day forecast.
Yeah, like at any time, I know 10 to 14 day. I'm like, okay, so it's gonna rain this weekend, so I gotta get all my shit done. I think it's just because I'm currently in Ontario, so we truly really have 4 seasons here. Actually, I'm gonna lie to you, we have 3 seasons. We have fall, summer, and winter. We don't have spring here, especially this year.
Like winter.
Yeah, we didn't have spring this year. It went from because our winter started really late. Like we didn't get hit hard with snow until January 13th. That was our first really big snowstorm. Like we didn't get hit.
I'm pretty sure that BC literally got snow before you guys did this year.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Because that was a huge deal. Again, like winter warning watch. Like that is like a Canadian thing of being like, okay, which provinces right now are getting blasted by snow?
Yeah.
I actually no, I lied. At Christmas time, we got hit with a giant snowstorm to the fact that we couldn't even leave our house. So Christmas this year, me and my fiance had to stay home because we physically couldn't leave. Like it took them. The city didn't plow our streets till 6 days after, so we couldn't leave.
That was like where we are. We had that like 5 days before Christmas. We had like a massive snowstorm. And it was just like I couldn't get to work. I could barely get on the ferry home to go back to see my family and back. Like it was really, really bad.
Oh, I know planes couldn't even land. Like they were canceling flights at Vancouver Airport. Awful. Oh, yeah.
Which actually leads me to a question that it makes me sad that, especially in Ontario, there is no such more thing of snow days. Snow days are done. It's stay-at-home education days is now what they are. What was your fondest memory if you had the chance to have a snow day? Like, what did you guys do when you were kids?
Oh my God. I built an igloo with my friend down the street.
Fuck yeah.
we took like massive Rubbermaid containers, and like I say we, but I'm pretty sure it was her dad that did like 90% of it. And we literally like filled Tupperware containers, and then we like just stacked ice and snow all around it. And it was enough that like this was in I want to say 2008 kind of thing. Like we had a really big snowstorm back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I don't know, like lasted for like a week. We had this cool little fort that we just got to hang out with over the Christmas holidays then, because that's just how it worked out. And it was just like, it was really neat to be like, I'm Canadian and this is my igloo that I have made.
Oh my God, you're living the stereotype, because they all like everyone thinks we just live in igloos anyways.
Oh, I know. It's yeah.
I have a little bit different story with that because I'm not from Vancouver, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm from like a small town that's like 10 hours north of Vancouver.
Yeah.
So it's like northern BC. So we get probably just as much as snow as Ontario does, right? So, but the community that I lived in, we didn't really have snow days. It was like, too bad you're going to school. So
see, and meanwhile, I had like, we literally would get like maybe a centimeter of snow. Nobody would know how to drive. Everything was shut down. People were stuck on the bridges for like hours because just nothing was prepared for snow. And it would be like, okay, just no school, that's fine. Just tiny bit of snow, we're good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would have wished to have a snow day, but like, yeah, there'd be days where it'd be like -20 out, and it's like, well, I guess I'm walking to school.
That's crazy. So,
Yeah.
where I live, we're just surrounded by lakes, so all we get is lake effect snow. Like it's ridiculous. And I think the craziest snow day experience I had was was my last year of high school. We had 9 snow days in 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
Like it was insane. Like we got dumped. It was literally called Snowmageddon. Which, can we just take a minute? They always name snowstorms really funny names.
Yeah, they do.
It's like the snow apocalypse. It's like there's always something, and I didn't know there was a snow day because in my high school life, I actually used to wake my parents up. They didn't wake me up. I woke them up so they could go to work because that's how responsible I was. So we had been fighting the night before, so I didn't even want to like look at their presents. So I just got up and like waited for the bus for like 20 minutes, and the snow was like past my knees. My dad comes and gets me. He's like, I think it's a snow day. And I'm like, don't even fucking talk to me. He's like, okay, it's a snow day. Like, get your ass inside. And then basically for us, like anytime it was just like a snow day, I had to shovel out the driveway. Like, and then like hot cocoa, and then like MSN Messenger and Sims and movies.
Oh my God.
And like much music. And daytime TV, obviously. You gotta get your Wheel of Fortune in, and your
okay,
Price
like,
is Right.
Thing is do you guys remember the Weather Channel?
Yes.
Of course, I remember the Weather Channel.
My parents still watch it.
Same.
Oh my God, it still exists. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still there.
Oh yeah. For us, Channel 23, baby. I don't leave the house. Well, I don't have I don't have cable. I have television. I don't leave the house without, before going to bed, knowing what the weather's going to be the next day, and then double checking again.
That's what my mom does.
Yeah, because like what if it's going to rain? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to get caught in the rain. I want to like plan out my shit better. Because it can like literally last week, when I left to go to work at like 6 a.m. in the morning, it was 9 degrees. By the time I got to work, it was 15. By the time it was lunch break, it was 27. And by the time I got home, it was like 22. I had literally gone through 4 different weather changes. And I had a sweater and a jacket when I left, got just to the sweater, had my t-shirt, put my jacket on to leave. It's literally like you have to bring multiple sets of clothes with you.
Oh my God.
That's like this last week. It's been like, it was like 12 degrees last week, and now 32 next week. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's so weird right now.
Okay, can I ask you guys a dumb question? Because I guess I know you're out west. Do all your houses, like, are they set up for like, do you have like central air? Do you have like regular heating? I know that's a dumb question to ask, but I know a lot of places like in this country don't have central air.
I mean, I think a few places, like where I am, like I'm on Vancouver Island, and where I am, it is old 1800s, 1900s houses.
Yeah.
And they are like, and like really old apartment complexes. Like my apartment complex is newer, and we still don't have central air. Like we don't even have it set up to be able to have an air conditioner here, kind of thing. Like it's just like people who can have air conditioners are just very lucky from what I can gather from around here. But if you go like a little bit northern from where I am right now, there's like a lot of people with newer housing and like probably slightly wealthier that could like afford to have central air built in, I guess. But where I am, definitely not.
I got you. Amy, how about you?
Well, the house that I'm gonna be leaving soon, but we are renting. It's an older house, but yeah, it has, I get like what is central air again?
So central air is like our thermostats. We can turn on heat, we can also turn on air. So we don't need to have an air conditioning in the window. Like the air conditioning is already built into our home. We just have to turn it on.
Oh yeah, no, there's no AC built in here. There's heat, like forced air, like heat through like vents and stuff. but there's no like AC. We have our own individual like AC unit we bought,
Yeah.
and we just stick it in the window when we need to or whatever. But yeah, there's no like AC like built into the house. It's a pretty old house, like from the 70s. So
That's fair.
yeah.
That's crazy to us. You like most homes, even older homes now have central air. Like
Oh,
that is a huge component passing, especially in come 20, I think it's 2035 in Ontario. Every house has to have central air. Like that is like unheard of for us to not have a house that does not have central air. And if it does, it's a fucking house from 200 years ago, knob and tube style. Like I shit you not. It's crazy to like to us because like right now, like my central air is on. Like as soon as like it gets slightly warm, we shoot that air on right away. And then we still have fans going because the heat rises, right? So
yeah.
yeah. Again, we it's also confirm or not confirm, I should say. Canadians, we like to complain when it's cold. We also like to complain when it's hot.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's like, speaking as somebody who grew up like relatively close to Vancouver,
Yeah.
and the constant thing with Vancouver is that it's like, oh my God, it's like one of the it's like I think literally one of the rainiest places in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't grow up with an umbrella. I just went outside. If it was pouring rain, I like maybe if I had to walk home from school, I used an umbrella. But like I was having this conversation when I was actually in Vancouver last week with my aunt, and it was pouring rain. And I'm like, no, I don't really care. I'm like, if my hair gets ruined, it gets ruined. I'm in Vancouver. There's really no like it's just not something I cared about. But then if you give us hot weather, we all freak out. It's
Yep.
like
Yes.
we immediately freak out for some reason. And it's just like rain is our comfy cozy and we like get sick of it. And then all of a sudden we get sun and it's like, oh my God, we got sun, but none of us want it. We all want rain.
It's so true. And like for us, like in Ontario, we live for beach days. Like that is our shit because there's so many lakes around. We have the main lakes. We fucking hate rain here. Do not give us a rain day. We will like everybody is miserable if it's a rainy day. Give us a sunny 29 Celsius day here. Everybody's happy. But
Everybody's
if
at
you
the lake.
everybody's at the lake, right? Everyone's either at Grand Bend, Turkey Point, anywhere around Lake Ontario. Like that is like the shit for us. But I actually have to ask you guys a question. What are your guys' thoughts on the rest of the provinces? I'm just curious. I mean, this is the time to be real. I will give you my thoughts after.
Sure. Julie, you want to go first?
I mean, yeah. Okay, so essentially BC to me is just like, I don't know, they're just people. We exist here. I live with them and they feel like they're like household members for me kind of thing. I think the territories, I think people who live in the territories are fucking cool. I'm like, I feel like living near the Arctic Circle, for me, I've always wanted to go. So it's
Okay.
like people that are able to live there and withstand the climate and like able to afford living out there is insane to me because the prices are like absolutely berserk compared to here.
Mm-hmm.
And then from okay, my brother is like a touring musician and he's driven through the prairies and like the rest of Canada multiple times.
Yeah.
And from what he's told me, Alberta for like 30% of it is cool. And then the rest of it just becomes a mishmash of prairie provinces. And I apologize to the prairie province simmers because I like you guys, but I'm confused by you living in a flat place. Like
Yes.
I can't I'm like I like ocean and I like mountains and I like
Yes.
being able to see bumps in the world around me. And my brother literally said he's like you would just drive for
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours and you'd wake up and you'd still be driving and nothing had changed. But yeah, and then honestly Ontario to me is just Ontario and Quebec to me is just like Quebec. And then the Maritimes to me are very cool. To me they're like colorful and cool and that's my thought of Canada.
I'm gonna let Amy go before I like stomp on your parade because like teach us in Ontario that like we are the best province and nothing else matters. Amy, how about you?
Yeah, so like Same thing with BC. Like I agree, I live here, so I'm just kind of like it's just something that I'm used to. But I like it, I like the mountains and the ocean and stuff. You get all these different climates in BC, right? Like, you have some deserts here, you have rainforests, you have, you know, big, huge like Rocky Mountains and stuff. So we got kind of everything here. And then the prairies. Well, I've actually lived in the prairies before. So I lived in Alberta.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I lived in Alberta a long time ago, and I also lived in Manitoba. So I've been in both those provinces. And yeah, man, you don't get used to the flatness and the swamps, you know? It's just so flat. And then it's just so cold there because you get like this really bad wind during the snow and stuff. So I don't really care for that, but I don't know. Some of the people were nice, depending on who you hung out with and stuff. Ontario, I've actually never been to Ontario, which is kind of weird.
That's fair. I've never been to BC. So
Yes.
okay, it's totally normal.
Yeah. So from what I gather, Ontario, like especially Toronto, kind of maybe thinks it's the center of the universe in Canada.
Oh my God. I have a really good story for that after. Um, but
And then Quebec, like I haven't been there, so I don't really know much about it. And then like the East Coast, like the Maritimes and stuff, I definitely want to go there just
mhm.
because like the people are just so nice. Like they're
Yeah.
so nice, so friendly. The accent is just, I love it. Like, because it's got like, like a mishmash of like, because a lot of the people that came to the East Coast were like from like Ireland
Yeah.
and Scotland and stuff, right? So it's got kind of like that mishmash in there. And I don't know, it's a beautiful place too, right? And then obviously like territories and stuff, the same thing with what Juby said. Like, I don't know how like people can adapt to live up there. That's just like crazy, right? So that's kind of my take on the entire country. So
I like it. GB, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I was gonna say I did go to Ottawa. That's where I've
Mhm.
been. That's the only place I've been to, and it was cool. I got to go at Halloween. I got to go through the Governor General's haunted house
Oh,
thing,
cool.
and that's about it. Those are all my thoughts on Ontario.
That's fair. Someone who's from Ontario, has always been from Ontario. Amy, you said center of the universe. So fun story when it comes to anybody from Toronto. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
They do think they are the center of the universe. They think that they are the capital of Canada because
Oh
like when
gosh.
you go to Toronto, like you're a Torontoan. So for a lot of people that actually don't know, there is a Canadian Premier League for soccer, and there are leagues spanning all across the country. And a lot of people don't know that because soccer is not very prevalent here. It's hockey, but soccer is becoming more prevalent. But because my fiance is really into soccer, I've been to a lot of Canadian Premier games, and he's part. Like he cheers for the Toronto team because he's from Toronto, and the supporters is literally called the center of the universe
Oh my.
because they know that if you're Canadian and you're Toronto, it's the center of the universe. Like they're
That's so
like,
appropriate.
I know. Thinking about the other provinces, basically the prairies are just flat land. You can see your dog run away for 2 weeks. You can just see
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah, I've
Uh,
driven across them too, by the way. I've driven from Manitoba to BC.
oh my God.
Oh man, it's a long drive.
I'm sure because it's just like nothing. And it's just like, oh,
Just fields.
fields. Uh Alberta is to us Texas.
Yeah.
Very because like Ontario, I mean, obviously we're run by Doug Ford right now, which is not ideal, but like we're usually pretty liberal here.
Yeah.
Like the big cities are liberal. It's the small rural towns that are usually pretty conservative. But like we treat Alberta like it's Texas. BC we treat as California.
Yeah.
Um, if we want to go to the mountains or snowboarding or anything, like it's out to BC. Quebec, Ontarians and Quebec, like we don't like each other. Because I shit you not. Which before I continue, do either of you speak French like fluently?
Nope.
Not one bit.
No. Okay, so for us, because we're so close, like it's really bred into us to speak French.
Oh yeah.
And if you go to Quebec and you don't speak French to them, holy balls.
Oh yeah, they get mad.
They get mad because they are like French is their national language. And it's only New Brunswick that has two national languages, which is English and French.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, like anytime I have to deal with anyone from Quebec, they're like, bonjour. And I'm like, hello. And they're like, comment ça va? And I'm like, is there an English person that I can talk to? Oh, from Ontario. Yes, I can transfer you. I'm like, but you just spoke English. You just spoke English to me. And then like my family is from Newfoundland, so I special spot in my heart. I love Newfoundland. They are a completely like amazing.
Oh,
And
they're
you
so fun.
and you know a Newfie
Apparently,
straight from the gate.
apparently St. John's in Newfoundland, like,
Yep.
is the cheapest place to live in Canada and
Yes.
also one of the happiest places in Canada.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
So
Yeah,
my
I've
whole
learned that.
my whole family is from St. John's, Newfoundland. You could go buy a house down there right now for $100,000, and it's a big
Oh, wow.
house.
I'm leaving today and going there tomorrow.
Yeah. But the thing is, y'all have to get used to the weather down there because it's even more crazy. Like they
Oh,
only
yeah.
have summer for maybe 2 weeks. That would be stretching it. Like a summer day to them is an 18-degree day in fall.
That sounds beautiful.
Okay, if you want to live the twilight dream, yes. If you, I like sun, but like the thing is when it comes to Nova Scotia, Ontario ruined Nova Scotia in the last like 2 to 3 years because the pandemic taught everybody that they could work from anywhere. So Halifax had a giant influx of people from Ontario buying homes there and then like working their tech jobs for Toronto, but in Halifax. So like if you go to Halifax now, there's more people from Ontario there than there is Halifax, like people from Nova Scotia. That's
Yeah, it got really like over rushed with people, and then all their housing prices went up.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly it because it's so expensive to live in Ontario. Like I can't even describe it to you. Like
Oh,
us, like I mean, you guys are in BC, which I actually asked my parents this weekend. Like, what do you think is more expensive, living in BC or living in Ontario? Because apparently living in BC is the most expensive province to live in.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, if you put it on like an actual scale of like comparatively to all the other provinces, they just did it because we had like the minimum wage go up around here.
Yeah.
And literally it's because Vancouver in general and like the lower mainland where we all are typically is the most expensive place to live in British Columbia.
So like how much is a loaf of bread there? How much is like a dozen eggs? Like how much is a carton of milk? I'm just curious.
Okay, well, I'm an anomaly because I'm gluten-free.
Yeah.
But for example, like for the bread that I want to buy for like, I don't know, 7, 8 slices of bread for me for gluten-free, it's like $10.
Jesus.
Yeah, and for like a carton of almond milk, which is like a 1.5 liter carton kind of thing.
Okay. Yep.
It's like $6 for one now. And it used to be 2 for $5, like not too many years ago. So it's gone up significantly.
That's insane. So what's minimum wage there then?
I think it just went up to, I want to say it's $16.50, if not $17.50, something like that.
I know
Yeah,
for
I think
us
it's around there, yeah.
in Ontario, October 1st, it goes up to $16.55. And that's not livable.
No, it's not.
Too low.
It's way, way too low. So like for an example, I bought because I'm currently doing no additional sugar and keto. So I bought a loaf of keto bread that was $15. But if I was to go buy like a normal loaf of just like no name bread, maybe $3, and that would be a stretch.
I
Milk,
think it's like relatively $5 here for a regular thing of bread now.
Milk runs in about $3.29 to $4 depending on the brand, and a carton of eggs is now $3.69, which is a lot because when I started baking like 10 years ago, like freelance baking, a carton of eggs used to be $1.88, and now they're $3.69.
I'm trying to think of what eggs are. I want to say they're like $6 to $8 depending on where you are. How much is your guys' cheese?
Are you talking just like a block of cheese, like
just like a
special
standard cheddar cheese?
Yeah, if I was to get like a black diamond cheese, if I was to get that at Sobeys, not on sale, I'd say $8.99.
Okay, so there is one that's near like where I am. I went to Walmart last Monday
Yeah.
And I don't really like Walmart, so I don't shop there very often, but it's like cheaper. So we went.
Yeah.
And it was, I kid you not, $25 for a block of black diamond cheese, like a good block of just old age cheddar cheese.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
Yeah,
What the-
it was for Walmart. That was insane. I think I ended up buying a cheese that was like no name brand, $7, $9, something like that. And like that was the cheapest one there.
Sheesh.
That's literally insane.
Yeah.
I think that the last time I was like, what the fuck? I went to Walmart to buy, because like Walmart is significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Also, other fun facts, apparently, like obviously like there's dollar stores in like Canada, but like in the States, like there's like the like fair and far between. Like there's not that many. But like Dollaramas are fucking everywhere in Ontario. Are they everywhere in BC?
Dollarama is top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
that
other
is.
dollar store sucks.
Yes.
Dollarama is the best one.
Yeah.
Fuck Dollar Tree. I fucking
Oh, I
hate
know.
Dollar
Exactly.
Tree. I love Dollarama. Every time I'm in there, I'm like, ooh, so many like fun things in here. But anyway, so Walmart, because I was talking to Nardvillain last night because I was like, yo, did the States have dollar stores? Because like y'all need to shop at dollar stores if you don't. A block of butter was like $10, and that was a no-name block of butter at Walmart. And I was like, what the fuck is this? As a baker, that's like a staple. I remember when like I remember thinking when $6 was too much for butter. $10.
Do you guys go to Costco for butter?
We do, but the thing is like if you're an Ontarian, you love fucking Costco, and like going to Costco is a 6-day preparation. You need to get yourself like psyched up, like you're gonna go, and then you go, and then you're fighting through crowds, and then you get your hot dog and you leave. And then after like, oh fuck, I forgot this. I gotta go back to Costco, and then you just start the 6-day process again.
I hate Costco.
I like it for the samples, but then COVID ruined that, and now they don't have samples anymore. I like Costco to an extent. We don't have kids currently, so I think we would enjoy it more if we were like having to feed multiple people. But because it's only 2 of us in this house, things kind of really go to waste. Like at this point, like we use Costco for more of like snack foods and like cat litter and stuff like that. Like I have seen the butter there. It's still like $18.99 for like 2 blocks, and I understand that that's significantly like if you're coming down a little bit, but I wouldn't, since I'm not a baker anymore, I would never use 2 full blocks. And I know butter never goes bad, but if you don't like seal it correctly or take care of it, like it will go bad in the fridge.
Okay, see, I find that wild because I'm very sure, and like I went to Costco, sorry, and like I don't know, a month ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember seeing butter for maybe not even $8, like a block of butter. And you can go to like Walmart now, and I think you can get a block of butter there for like $6. But like I know at one point my grandma, who's like a huge baker, we would go to Costco and get her blocks of butter, and they were like $4.99, $5, and you could just go buy like 6 or 7 blocks of butter for her, and she'd be stocked for like ages. So it's wild. It's $18 for that's insane.
$18 for 2, baby.
I paid like well, this is fruit. Fruit is flipping expensive.
Yeah.
But like I bought like there was like some cherries. It was like a bag of cherries. And it was funny because my husband was buying it, right? And he just grabbed it. And he thought it was like $6 for it, right? And it didn't realize it was like a different price. Yeah. he went to the till and he put it on, and it was like $22, and he was too embarrassed to go put it back, so he just bought it.
When I used to be a grocery store cashier back in like 2016, there was people who would do that, and it was like the prices, that was right when I think 2016 is when prices started going up like insanely.
Yeah.
And I remember there were like green grapes, and this woman had like a fight with me because she was like, this was the price. And I'm like, ma'am, it's by pound. I'm like, it's literally by pound. I'm like, your grapes are $33 because it's by pound. And then she like took her grapes and like separated them at the till and took them apart, and then like got it back down to like $10 worth. It's a whole thing. I understand your husband's horror for that.
Yeah.
Oh my. Are you Hello? Are you guys back?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So Zoom just died. That's fun. That's also awkward because this is an uncut podcast. So if you just heard a bunch of swearing being like, what the fuck is happening? I still have 10 gigs of space left. Why are you not fucking working? You're welcome for that treat. Yeah, because we're like in the midst of talking about grapes, and I literally just watched my screen go down. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you just left and we're like, oh, where'd she go?
Like, it's fine. We'll just hang out.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Again, apparently my Zoom crashed. Cool. Anyways, so grapes are expensive because people don't understand the difference of buying it per pound versus like, because you see it all the time. They're like, oh, it's like $1.99 per pound. Like it is like you have to look for the LBS. So that's
Yeah,
fine.
it was like, I know there's like some around here that are like $6.99 per pound, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Okay, speaking of ridiculous, I gotta ask. So, like, being an Ontarian, like, we love our strawberries. Like that, like, strawberry season is right now. Like, strawberries here are like dirt cheap. Is there any other fruit that's out in BC that is super grown for you guys that's really fresh?
I'd say probably blueberries. I grew up
Okay.
in like near blueberry fields, so like we could walk down the street and you could pay 15, $20 and you get like 10 pounds of blueberries.
Okay.
Just you could go pick them yourself. Like it's kind of like a thing, at least where I grew up.
That's fair. Amy, how about you?
Um, I'd say for down here, well, it depends where you go. You can usually get blackberries. There's a lot of
Mm.
blackberries and blueberries as well. And sometimes strawberries, you can get local ones. So yeah.
That's right. Literally right now, it's fresh Ontario strawberries. Fresh Ontario strawberries. Like I literally went to Sobeys yesterday, got fresh strawberries for $3. And it was this giant container of them, and I had already eaten them by the time I got home from walking. Like I don't like that is like our shit right now is everything is strawberries because they're so dirt cheap. Like because they like there's there's like at least 3 or 4 strawberry massive fields in Ontario. Like that's like the big thing. Like especially if you're in Southwestern Ontario, you go to Hemans. I was there on Saturday, and the lines to get your fresh strawberries.
I know there's
They're
one
so
place
good.
in like in the Lower Mainland. I know like in I think Surrey, BC.
Yeah.
There's strawberry farms out there, but then there's also like if you go to like Chilliwack,
Mhm.
Chilliwack is like when you go into the Fraser Valley, that's like where you start getting like the farmland area of like the lower southern area of
Yeah.
BC, essentially.
Yeah.
And so like Chilliwack and Abbotsford, you get a lot of like I think it's called Crouse Berry Farms. And that one I at least know from like growing up, that was a really popular one to go to.
Mhm.
Um, but that's like the only one I can really think of around here.
That's fair. Just it was just I've always wanted to ask me like, y'all in other provinces, do you guys like berries and stuff? Because like obviously out in like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, like lobsters and fish, like that's their thing because it makes
Mhm.
sense. And then like in Ontario, we also have like all the wineries, so it's grape heavy. So I was just always curious if like any of the other provinces being like, oh no, like in August, this is like the time to get peaches, or this is the time to get asparagus.
Well,
And
we have
yeah.
like that here. Like we have like the Okanagan and stuff. Like that's like where we have a ton of wineries. We have
Mhm.
a ton of like we literally have a place called Peachland, which is like
Yeah.
I feel like there's peaches grown there. It feels like there has to be. There's like a place called Okanagan Falls and Oliver and Pemberton and Ticton, like in
Okay.
Osoyoos, all those different places. They are just like flowing with tourism of like
Okay.
deserty landscape
Huh.
winery.
Yeah, you can get a lot of fruit out there. Like I remember we used to go out there to like not Peachland, I can't remember where it was, but out in that area and like yeah, we would get like peaches and like nectarines and because they have fruit stands like everywhere. So
Everywhere.
yeah.
Well, see, good to know. This is why I'm like, I feel like us like again, everyone on Ontario is like, we're the best. And no other provinces count or matter because we're the best. We are the center of the universe. We're the center of the country. Literally, we are the center of
Actually,
the
this
country.
okay, actually the center of the country is Regina Saskatchewan.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, the center of North America is actually Regina, Saskatchewan. Like literally the center of the continent.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Geography major fun facts.
I was gonna say, like, let's talk about some Canadian geography. You came to play. We already talked about this before. Lay it on me, because I didn't know till today, because I was Googling like fun facts about Canada, that there's 6 time zones in this country.
Yeah.
Because that's just how big it is. It's massive. Okay,
Yeah.
but Juby, lay it on me. What's some fun Canadian facts?
Well, we're big. we're really big. We have it's interesting because like our northern territories make up a ton of like the Arctic Circle. But then you also have places like, for example, BC. We have 2 different like sets of deserts in Canada. So I believe one of them is I want to say it's in the prairies, but one of them is definitely it's Soyuz in BC. But we also have like, there's the Rocky Mountains, there's the so BC is called the Cordillera. It's like, that's the technical term. But then you have like the Canadian Shield, which goes from Manitoba all the way until I think it's Quebec.
Okay.
And basically it's just like, that's the Hudson's Bay, and it's just a massive rock. And that's why it's very flat and roly-poly-oly over there. Like, you guys have these cool hills in Ontario. They're called drumlins.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're literally just like chunks of like rock that the massive ice sheet that was once over Canada just kind of rolled over and like left these massive lumps of land. And that's where you guys got your mountains. Whereas ours kind of like collided with some whole tectonic plate type situation. And then there was a lot of thrusting and a lot of different things that happened, and heat and pressure, and we got Rocky Mountains.
That's fucking awesome.
That's kind of my knowledge of Canada.
That's awesome, though. Like, again, like, I don't remember Canadian geography, because the only things I can remember of doing any form of Canadian geography is like, where's BC? That's BC. This is a province. Is this Saskatchewan or Manitoba? And I'd be like, it's the same.
Did you guys ever have to color maps? And then like you always had to write Saskatchewan in your map, but you had to put it in horizontally.
Yes.
And then it would never fit.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Like, because it's such a fucking long for like province.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a province that you guys forget that exists?
New Brunswick.
Oh my God, thank you, Queen. Because I was gonna say like New Brunswick. I always forget New Brunswick.
What's that other one? PEI or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I love PEI. It's so
like,
tiny and cute.
I know, like PEI Nova Scotia. Oh well, yeah, PEI is like a small little guy. But again, I always associate that like they're like there, I guess. But
I've forgotten that there's like a northern part to Ontario multiple times.
Oh, the part where you can't live in? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, the part that's like just like you can't live there.
Yeah. So like I live in this like very southern base where like everybody in Ontario lives. That's the problem. This province is so fucking massive. But 80% of us live in the same spot. But like if I want to get to Thunder Bay, you have to fly there. You can't just drive to Thunder Bay. You have to fly. And if you wanted to drive, I mean, you could, but you would have to like leave the province to come back into the province to like get to Thunder Bay and spend 20 hours driving from where I am. Like, that's fucked. And that's not even like halfway. That is like, there's still like, I would say it's like maybe like 40% of the province up, and like the rest of it's just unlivable. It's literally just, it's called the unlivable part of Ontario. Like you can't.
Why is it unlivable though?
Because it's it's trees. It's all forest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's just unlivable. It's also really close to the Arctic, so it's really fucking cold. Like, really
that makes sense.
Cold. Yeah, it's literally, and that's where the bears are. It's up there. I know that's like, again, everyone out here is scared of bears. Like that's like, bears is our kryptonite. But I mean, we're more scared of like coyotes and wolves, snakes.
Okay, so when I went home to go visit my family last week, right?
Yeah.
And so where I live now, I don't like I'm in more of a city essentially.
Yeah.
But I grew up in basically on the border of rural and suburban.
Okay.
So I grew up with like black bears constantly, like always had black bears. Literally, when I went to go visit my parents in the last 3 weeks, I've seen probably 4 or 5 different bears just like chilling in my front yard just because they're out and about doing things. There's always coyotes, there's always deer, there's always
Yeah.
all these things. And like last week, me and my really good childhood friend walked out to just this massive lake and river type situation.
Yeah.
And we walked out to like the beach, and it's like probably half an hour away, and like total black bear territory. And we were out there till like 10:30 at night. And we're just like pitch black dark. And her and I are walking back, and we're like, do you think there's any bears? And like her and I grew up in this area. We know everything like the back of our hand. And she's like, probably, we'll be fine. And we just walk back. Like it doesn't phase us kind of thing. But I posted, like on my Instagram story, I posted a picture of a black bear. And the amount of responses that I got on my like Sims Instagram of, oh my God, what is that? Where is that from? Oh my God, you're so close to it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is my backyard. This is just what I grew up with. I'm like, they are more afraid of you than you are of them. Like that kind of situation. They're like house spiders to me. Like they just kind of show up and you just deal with them.
What about house hippos? Just kidding.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
house
house hippos.
Oh my God. Okay. Did you guys like watch like TVO and like YTV, Teletoon,
Yes.
Yeah.
Family Channel? RIP Teletoon. It's gone now. Cartoon Network bought it out last year. That makes me so
Oh.
sad. I loved Teletoon.
Teletoon was better than the Cartoon Network because it was Canadian.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
just like it had everything so curated comparative to like the States. It was like you'd watch it and you'd be like, this is Teletoon.
Yes. Because it was all Canadian content. Like I didn't know that Totally Spies was Canadian until like into my adults. Like I didn't know it was like a Canadian show. I was like, what?
That's wild.
Yeah, because so was the other one, Martin Mysteries, also Canadian. Obviously Angela Anaconda, Caillou, Braceface.
Caillou's Canadian?
Caillou's Canadian, yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, I thought he was a global phenomenon. I think
Nah,
everybody needs to know about him.
that's a Canadian treasure, my friends. That is we are Caillou. But when so when I say of like Canadian nostalgia, like what comes to your guys' mind?
Oh, I know one off the top of my head here.
Lay it on me.
Mr. Dress Up.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys remember that, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Yes. How about like Much Music? Like were you guys like Much Music kids that you would like rush home to see
Oh my
like
God, no. My mom would get mad at me if I watched it. She didn't think it was good TV. Same with YTV. Like I wasn't allowed to watch YTV or Much Music.
well, like how else like you didn't that means you would have never watched like Fairly Odd Parents and like all the
Well,
other
I
like
like
Nickelodeon shows that ended up on YTV.
I watched Nickelodeon shows, but there was like a really good portion of them that like I was just never allowed to watch. So I don't know. I spent a lot of time on Family Channel and I had a lot of Disney movies, and that's what I grew up on.
Okay, I have two facts to mind baffle you. One, Life with Derek. Did you guys remember that? That
Oh, I
weird
love Live with Derek.
the weird
Yeah,
show that the stepbrothers and stepsister are like they're like, are they gonna fuck? Like there's
literally
too
the
much
weirdest
like
show ever.
okay. So it was filmed in London, my hometown. It took place in London, and Casey's mom, like her real mom, was my culinary teacher.
Oh, weird.
That's
Another
weird.
another weird fact is because I'm in Ontario, I went to school with a lot of Justin Bieber's cousins.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Jeez.
Like
Small world.
very small world. I went to school with like three of his cousins.
Huh.
And they're like, he's a dick. Um,
Oh,
my
yeah.
my brother, my stepbrother, went to kindergarten with Ryan Gosling.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, because like again, full on Ontario kid. Rachel McAdams still comes home to St. Thomas all the time. You'll just see her just riding her bike in St. Thomas all the
Jeez.
time. Another fun, crazy fact. So, who remembers Cadet Kelly? Because that was like iconic to me.
That was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
So, you know, the dance scene at the end, the choreographer, like just
Yeah.
like that is my best friend's neighbor. And she still has the gun, the fake gun with Hilary Duff's signature on it.
Which movie is this? A
Cadet
TV?
Kelly. Cadet Kelly. It was a Disney movie.
Oh,
Back
I
in
don't
like
think I saw that.
2000, 2001. Like that was like my shit. Like I learned, like I got into dance because of that dance number. And I got to meet her. And she does a bunch of like other Canadian content. And I was like, holy shit. That's fucking cool. Yes. But again, it's fun, cool facts. Like, I don't know, what fun, cool. Oh, I mean, also everybody in Ontario knows somebody who knows the Arkells. It's a
Yeah.
pretty common thing. Have you guys ever
Yeah.
seen them live?
No, but like one of my really good friends that I met in like post-secondary,
Yeah.
she is like a huge fan of them and has
Yeah.
met them a number, like she's just like one of those like band people that just meets people.
Yeah.
She like lives in Stockholm now so that she can meet bands. It's like just what she's gone to do with her life, and I'm like, congrats, like kudos to you, girl. You're living everyone's dream.
Yeah.
But like she's the same thing, like Arctic Monkeys and Arkells.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of time like finding where they are, and I'm like, that's fun. It's a good hobby.
That's a fun hobby. I think I've seen the Arkells 15 times live. That's pretty generous to
Oh
say
my
that.
God.
They are the best rock show I've ever been to. They put on a great show. If you ever get a chance to see the Arkells, you will not be disappointed.
Do you guys have like Michael Bublé? So Michael Bublé, he went to school where my dad went to school.
Okay.
And before I quit my old job and moved away, I worked at a music lesson center, and his niece and nephew came in to start learning lessons.
Shit.
Yeah, and they were like literally they were there, and then I quit, and I'm like a big Michael Bublé fan. And like I love him. He's like, it's good things all around. And I don't know, it was like I left and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if one day he got to come in for their recital and blah blah blah. Sure enough, that guy went to the recital. Literally this winter I moved away, he was there at the spring. Like I was so mad. But it was cool that like everyone got to obviously meet him and he went and like listened. It was quite cute.
That's so cute. Amy, how about you? Do you have any fun stories to share?
Well, not any that I've like met celebrities or anything because I haven't met any, so I'm pretty boring.
It's totally fair. See, like the thing is like Ontario, we like the Arkells, we like Lights, we like obviously Drake. We like the Weeknd.
Oh yeah, you guys love Drake.
we do like Drake. Honestly, so the ongoing joke is that when you see a concert in Toronto, that Drake's gonna show up. It's a joke, right? So that actually happened one night. It was the Weeknd concert, and the crowd goes silent, and they come back out for the encore because like let's take a minute here. Every artist is gonna have an encore, okay? They're not done. They're not like, oh, we're done. The concert's not done until the lights are off. So
Taylor Swift doesn't. So
I know, but like it's a 3-hour fucking tour.
We need an encore, okay?
She played 41 songs.
It's not enough.
Oh my God. Also, you got to go. Alex has gone twice, and she's not added any Canadian dates. Well, everyone's now panicking. Is Canada not going to be added? Is she not going to perform in Canada?
I'm like, oh my God, I saw this tweet the other day that was because I have like a Swiftie Twitter, and I saw this tweet and it was, can the next war is Taylor Swift against Canada. And I just lost my shit. I was like, it was the tweets that were coming out were just like hilarious. And it's like, to be fair, like I'm going to her Seattle concert, which is literally a month from today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm excited. I got a ticket. I get to go, sure. But I'm like, I was really looking forward to Canadian dates. So that way I could go with like more friends and not have to actually travel out of the country to go see her.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like, it's a thing now. Like I think Harry Styles, he had a Vancouver show and an Ontario show and he canceled them and like never rescheduled for Canada either. So, and it's like a thing after 2019 and 2020. People just don't travel to Canada anymore because it's also too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, like, but that's like, it hurts because like Jason and my best friend Sierra have been like, that's all they've been talking about for like 6 months now, is like, we got to see the Airs. Like, we tried to get tickets to the Chicago show, we couldn't. And now we're like, Europe 2024 maybe. But again,
she's gonna be in Paris for my birthday, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll go.
but you're closer that way. Like, you'll fly that way. Like, we have to fly like over the rest of the country and continue going. And you could just fly over Asia. It's a little faster going that way.
I think we go. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what direction we go. I think we'd go to like. I think I'd probably have to stop over in like New York or like Ontario and then go to Paris.
I think they would go that way. I feel like they would just. I feel like they just go from BC this way instead of this way. That's such a waste. That's such a waste of air gas. Anyways, long story short, saw a weekend concert. Drake shows up at the end, and the crowd lost their fucking mind. We start singing Drake's spot, and he like stops singing, and he's like, "This is why I fucking love Toronto," and like everyone lost their fucking minds. So, long story short, we like Drake, we like The Weeknd, and Belly. What else do we like? We like everybody that's like Ontarian, if that makes sense. Well, does anybody have any fun facts before we have to switch over to talking about some very sad revelations that have come to light in the last couple of years?
I have one.
Fun facts.
I have one Canadian fun fact.
Let's go, Juby.
Apparently, the longest coastline in the whole world is in Canada.
Oh, okay.
So apparently there's like 200,000 kilometers of coastline. Jesus. And it's because we border 3 different oceans.
Yes.
I think it's the Pacific, Atlantic, and Arctic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. That's my one fun fact I have for you.
I like it. Amy, how about you?
Fun fact about Canada. That we say a lot.
And sorry. I'm like notorious. I'll have sorries off with people. Be like, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. And then we forget why we're saying sorry. Very true. I would say definitely a misconception about Canadians is that we actually have to lock our doors.
Yeah.
It has come to my attention that some countries don't think we lock our doors at night.
Oh my God.
Because we're just that peaceful.
I mean, okay, I feel like some places, like some areas of like BC itself, I can totally see not locking their doors. But like in like the whole general of Canada, isn't it? It's just like lock your door.
Yeah.
Don't
exactly.
Trust people. Like, we're Canadian, we're nice, but don't trust people that much.
Yeah, lock your door. We also don't live in igloos. We don't wear parkas. We don't have to hunt for our food. I mean, some people do choose to hunt for their food, but that is a personal preference, not a surviving mechanism. And we kind of look like America. Okay, like if you've ever been to Detroit, Canada looks like. We're very similar, especially Ontario. Any border town, we're very similar. You don't just like come across the way to Canada and be like, oh, it's the Arctic. It's not like it's not Game of Thrones. Okay, it's not like Beyond the Wall is fucking Arctic. Okay, like I mean that is a part of Canada, but it's up further. But Canada is a great place to live. Yeah, it's very multicultural. We're getting more multicultural by the day. I really appreciate it, and I love seeing other cultures coming in here and sharing, their cultures with us. We do have universal-based healthcare. That is very nice when it comes to needing to go to the hospital. We don't have to pay for hospital visits. It blew my mind to know how expensive babies are to get born in the States, and the fact that so many people have multiple children in the States. We couldn't even afford to have one if we had to pay for labor. There are many good aspects of living in Canada, but we cannot shy away about the Indigenous culture in Canada. We have treated them so poorly. We took their land away, and I think we should give it back to them. And it's come to light in the last couple of years. I mean, we all knew about the residential schools, but it's become a real talking point, and especially in politic years, of what it's like uncovering every horrendous thing that happened in the residential schools. Not only that, but seeing the unmarked graves as a huge damper on Canadian culture. I think it is ridiculous that we have a Truth and Reconciliation Day, which is September 28th, and we do not celebrate it, but government employees celebrate it. I think that is absolutely disgusting. We are giving people who caused Indigenous people like suffering, when they get to have the day off. I think that it's ridiculous. I think at this point, yes, we are part of the Commonwealth countries. I don't really feel like we should celebrate the Queen's birthday anymore. I know Métis 4 is a huge part of Canadian culture, especially in Ontario. That is our kickoff of summer. That is camping season and everything. But I wish we would not celebrate the Queen's birthday. And I wish we would celebrate more of the Indian cultures and talking about them more, instead of us saying, well, we gave them guns and they liked us, and skip over the genocides, because that happened. And it's going to happen again if we continue to not talk about it properly. And I would like to open up the floor to Amy and Juby to talk about this, like, a harsh topic of, like, yeah, Canada's really great and awesome, but if you're Indian, it's not that great.
I guess it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I did an Indigenous college, like an Indigenous class a couple semesters ago.
Yeah.
And I was, out of probably about 20 people, I was one of the only fully white people there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually had somebody in my class who was Indigenous, or is Indigenous, sorry, and she had family that literally was in residential schools up until, I think, the last one closed in 1996. And which is nuts. That's like, it's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she told us these stories about her loved ones and what they went through, and it was just like, it was absolutely horrifying. And it's like, it's nothing that I can say that I can ever resonate with. Like, I'll never be able to resonate with the pain and the horror that these people have had to deal with. And so, like, when I sit here and I'm like, I have a geography major and I'm working on like all these different classes, I'm like, I am very open to going and learning more and like understanding and listening. I don't want to talk over people. I don't want to talk for them. Like, I just want to, I don't know, I live on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people. And it's like, I recognize that now. And it's like, I like had this conversation with my friend a couple weeks ago, and she was like, oh, we were off-roading in our Jeep and we didn't realize we were on residential territory. And she was like, but it's fine, everything in Canada, like, everyone owns the same space. And I'm like, no. And I literally, like, I shut her down. I was like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, that is literally their territory. And where I grew up, there was an area that I grew up in that was like 4 or 5 cities worth of Indigenous territory, and now they have less than 10 kilometers available to them. And it's just like, to me, it's absolutely insane that we have taken all that land and just like industrialized it, farming, all these different things have gone on. Like, it's insane to me.
I could not agree more. I think it's really sad, and I think we need to do better. And I'm excited. I'm happy to see now that, like, say it's a hockey game and they'll say this land was a Métis and Inuit tribe, and I'm happy to see
Yeah,
that.
it'd be like a land acknowledgement. Yeah.
And I love to see that. The thing is our generation accepts it. It's the older generations that don't. They're like, why are they doing that? Why does it matter? It matters. Like, what if somebody came into our homes right now, stripped us of everything we owned, told us that we couldn't believe in the God that we believed in, we had to change everything about us, sent us off, or sent our children off to an undisclosed location to teach them a different religion. And if they died in an unmarked grave. Like, that's fucked. And the government's not really doing anything about it. And that really
they talk about it, but they don't create any solutions for it, right? Like, it's obviously a major problem that's needs to be addressed and stuff. And like, the other thing too is like, because I grew up like in a small town up north, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually grew up along I don't know if you've heard of the Highway of Tears before.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Highway of Tears is basically it's a long stretch of highway that goes through BC, and there's been like I'd say it's about I think it's about over hundreds of women that have gone
Yeah.
missing, and most of them are Indigenous women have been murdered or gone missing. And like the town I grew up in like was actually right by that highway, like up north. So you would hear a lot about women going missing up there, and just like yeah, they just haven't done enough to like figure out what the heck is going on with it because it's been going on since the 70s.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's not stopped. Like they still have, I believe that's what's correlated with Red Dress Day,
Yes.
Yeah.
where like you'll be driving around BC here, and like I live in an area where there is a lot of different like just uh, treaty type areas, and essentially it's like you go through and you just see red dresses hanging everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
the fact that we are in the 2020s and we're still staring at this, like they're brand new ones that are put up. They're
Mm-hmm.
still using that as their advertising to basically get their message out there. And it's just like, I don't know, I grew up near, there was a serial killer named Robert Pickton.
Oh yeah.
And he, like, I grew up very close to him, and a lot of his murders happened to be Indigenous women from the downtown east side in
Mm.
Vancouver, because at the time it was easy just to pick them up and take them away because the government didn't look at them as humans. They were just like, oh, they're just numbers on a population. And it's like, it's heartbreaking for me to think about that, because it's like you see a white person go missing and it's like crazy all over the
Mm-hmm.
news, everything like that. But there are people going missing every single day, and we like have to share Facebook posts or have to share like social media. And like I have friends that are like, you have to share this. Oh my God, it's not being covered. And it's because they don't want to cover it. They constantly cover it up because it just happens so often.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really sad because, like, so growing up, it's no secret, I grew up in a very conservative home. You can just imagine the amount of misinformation that was spread to me as a child because I believed it. Um, I would love for the end of like false information and being able to talk openly about everything that's happened, and everything has now started to come to light, which is really good. But as you're saying, it's still currently happening. Reserves are still very much a thing, right? Or in because you're like, oh, like they just want their status card, they just don't want to pay taxes, and all they do is sit on welfare and beat their wives. Like that is the furthest thing from the truth. But that is
It's
what
like,
that's how it's portrayed in the older generations. It's like, oh, they just want their status card.
yeah, and it's like what you were saying about like September 30th. My work, I work at a physiotherapy office,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a lot of older clients. And essentially, I had to say to them one day, oh, yeah, we're closed for September 30th, for the Indigenous folk in remembrance of like Truth and Reconciliation Day. Like,
Yeah.
we closed down the business for it. And like, people were mad
Mm-hmm.
that we were taking a day of treatment away from them because they're like, oh, well, so and so is this and this and this and this. And I'm like, the things that they uttered to me were so awful. And I was like, well, this is a day for them. And I think it's no different than our November 11th Remembrance Day that we have. I'm like,
Yes.
it's Orange Shirt Day. It's a day of remembrance. It's a day of grieving. It's a day of loss. It's a day of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the older generation does not see that, but the
No.
younger generation does.
Which is good that the younger generation does. The thing is, I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna ask us to go back into our memories of kid like knowledge, especially like I know you did geometry, so you did like post secondary, but for me, I went to Catholic school for a good chunk of it. I'm gonna sit here and tell you they were the heroes in that story, and that's what they taught us. So I didn't know,
Yeah.
right? So
Yikes.
it's who teaches it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you also didn't have to take science, but you had to take religion. it came down to science, Canadian history, art. That was your elective. Elective. You didn't have to take it. Like, that's fucked. So, and any of my memory of anything, as all I remember is the like HBC, that's Hudson's Bay Company, obviously. We made some beaver hats. We went to war with the States. Yeah, that's probably about it. But they never got into the genocides that we caused. That was really skipped over.
I don't know about you, Amy, but I know where I went to school, I never was taught about, like, we had social studies. That's what our like Canadian geography and history kind of went into.
Yeah.
And so we had, I don't know, we like learned the basics of Canada. This is where we are. This is how we got here.
Yeah.
But it literally was not until I was in post-secondary that I learned about not only like the actual horror of residential schools. It wasn't just like, this is a residential school, this is what it meant, here it's on your test tomorrow. Like, that's what it was when I was growing up. But when I got to college, it was like, no, this is actually what happened. And then, oh, by the way, there was just like the racial movements that happened in the Maritimes and the slavery movements. And then there was also the Japanese internment camps in BC. And like, there's a lot of things that happen that we are not taught about in like public education.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, it's kind of weird for me because like I grew up in a small town, and yet my school actually covered a lot of that stuff, which is interesting. Because like in elementary school, because we had like a fairly large Indigenous population in our town, so in elementary school we would learn about all the carrier traditions and the kind of food they eat, and like the languages and their customs. And so we actually learned about all that. And then in high school, one of my courses, I think, was for English actually. We actually had to read a book that was on the residential schools. It was actually written by a lady, an Indigenous lady that was from the area, that went to the residential schools. I think it's called Stony Creek Woman. You can look it up, but it's a good book. But she wrote about her experiences of how she was taken away from her home and, you know, forced to go to this residential school and everything. And we had to read this book and, you know, write about it and stuff like that. So we actually learned a lot of the history, believe it or not, which is quite surprising for a little small town, right? Because you think a lot more schools in the city would be more focused on teaching this stuff, but I guess not.
Yeah, because like
So
where I was like closer
same.
to Vancouver, and it was like we were, I don't know, like we've learned stuff, but it was more like it was a field trip to Grouse Mountain, to go to the Longhouse, to go look at everything. And it wasn't like we didn't cover anything before the field trip. You just went on the field trip, and this was your one day of learning, and then you maybe got that every few years.
Oh yeah.
And like we learned about the first people of Canada, but it was never about like the Indigenous people who lived here and what their names were and who they were as people. It was just, what did they eat? Oh, they lived along rivers. Oh, they ate berries. Like, that is what we were learned. And it was just like, it felt so whitewashed in a way that it was just like exactly like Stassi said. Like, it's like you were just handed this knowledge of, we are the white people and we came first, and we just booted everyone off. And it was like, that's the knowledge that I grew up with. And then I took that course in college and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is all so wrong. I literally was so blindsided, and I was just like, I have like such a huge hole in my heart because I'm like, I did not know about all this knowledge that I should have known growing up. Like, this should be very transparent. We should be aware of it. And we just didn't teach like our generation.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Again, like, I think we spent more time talking about Vikings. Like, I think that's fucked. Like, I can remember talking about the different types of Vikings that came and like how they, again, Vikings are not great either. Okay. But they like were like, they saved everybody. Vikings came and like taught them how to hunt. What? That's not fucking true. They killed people for sport. Vikings.
Well, it's like learning about like the Yukon Gold Rush. I wrote like a huge paper on it a number of years ago, and it was the fact that like I don't know, it cost like $5, something around there. Like it was a very minuscule amount to us now, but it was, say, paying somebody $1,000 for all of your goods, and
Yep.
then paying an indigenous person who knew the area would get you to and from where you needed to go to pan their gold from their river,
Mhm.
and then you would pay them like $20 for like
Yep.
a month's worth of work.
Yep.
And it was just like that was normal and that was okay. And it's just like it baffles me that we've just never ever fixed that at all. Like we just let it slide and you don't learn about it.
The thing is it's still sliding. Like, yes, we're doing these really great things of, Truth and Reconciliation Day, but only government employees are getting it in Ontario. And I think that's ridiculous. Like, I was so pissed. Like, I wrote a letter to my MPP and was like, I want this changed. I want you to go to Congress and I want you to explain to them how we need to educate everybody on the importance of why this cannot happen again and change education so people talk about it instead of saying, like, I remember it's like Juby said, like, we like residential schools happened. Like, that was a thing. I remember clear as day learning about residential schools. They were like, that's where children went to special school. That's literally what I was taught. It was a special school for them. That's fucked. That's not true, but that's what I was taught. And like you said, I was blindsided completely because I was always an arts kid and because I had a learning disability. I didn't really like enjoy school, but I liked the arts. So anytime I could get rid of like geography, history, science, I always went towards the arts because that's where I was able to be creative. So that should also change as well. We should be able to have the arts, be able to have they provide education for science and geometry and Canadian history, but teaching it right instead of teaching the winning side. I want to hear both sides, not just the winning. And the winning side is wrong half the time. It's how we want to tell the story and how we are always the heroes. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. And I don't think this is going to be solved anytime soon. And I think the only way we're going to do it is if we continue to talk about it and stop shying away from having conversations, and especially educating the older generations that it's not okay to be like, oh, they just drink their booze away and just go, they smoke cigarettes and fuck, it doesn't matter. White people fucking drink their money away and smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's bullshit. Like, I can remember one of the high schools I went to, it's where the reserve kids went. And it was a big deal. Like that, like parents were like, you can't send your kids there. That's where the dirty reserve kids go. Oh. And that school had police, drug dogs, like metal detectors, constant locker checks. And every time, like, and I was only there for a couple years, but anytime a drug bust was made at school, it was a white kid.
Yep.
Yeah. Always was. And then when I went to Catholic school, there was not one Indian person there. And it was mind baffling to go back and think about that because I like to go, like my mom likes to go home, like when I go home and she's like, oh, Jennifer, remember like when you were in high school and you were nice? Here's the photos of that. And I like went through my high school yearbook. In my graduation year of high school, everybody was white.
Wow.
That's fucked.
Jeez.
There's a book that you can read. So the author, it's like honestly, it was a textbook that I read for a class, but this is the textbook that taught me every single thing I don't even need, like I need to know, but I need to know more of as a young adult living in our current like society and like how we are dealing with these issues and like presenting these issues and listening and learning from them. Her name is Chelsea Vowell. She wrote a textbook. It's called Indigenous Rights It's a guide to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit issues in Canada. It is written from her perspective, and it is like, I don't know, it was weirdly, it was like one of the best books I think I could have read for myself, just like learning wise, because it's a really hard book to read. It is a very, very, very hard book to read. And like I said, I can't, like, I can resonate, but I can't resonate with the emotions that are in this book. But it really puts into perspective how we are as Canadians and how these issues have like been raised and whatnot. I'm like, if anyone's looking for a book, that is a really, really good book to pick up and read about all of these types of things.
Well, I'm gonna have the link below. Please, if you're listening to this and you want to learn and you want to broaden your horizons and step outside of talking about like how the HBC company saved Canada and how like us white people saved the world, which is not true. Go read this book. Go read about every culture out there and get the experience of knowing the other side of the grass instead of it just always being like white guy always wins. And I think that's we got to change that because that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I'm so sick of hearing, well, you can't say Merry Christmas anymore. You're gonna offend somebody. I'll still say Merry Christmas. You can still fucking say Merry Christmas. This isn't communist China. Say whatever the fuck you want. Well, like my friend who lives in China can't say what he wants. He gets censored. You can walk outside right now and be like, fuck Trudeau. Nothing bad's gonna happen. You walk outside in China, you're like, fuck the president. I don't even know the Chinese president's name. I wouldn't do that. But like, again, everyone's like, I'm so sick and tired of everyone being like, Canada, like, guys, it's like Nazi Germany here. We have no rights.
Sure. Like, jeez.
Well, I mean, the stupid convoy. I'm not even gonna get into the convoy on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
It was awful. The convoy, well, because it was in Ottawa, and they would literally block off parts of the highway for the day, so people couldn't get onto the highway because the convoy was stopping you. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it was so brutal. It was so awful.
Yeah, because
I I live really close to BC's capital, and it's like it was like I could not. One of my favorite things to do is drive downtown and go to the beach and just enjoy the space and the scenery that I have available to me. And it was like I literally could not do that for months because it just happened every single day, if not every weekend, for like months on end. And it was brutal, and it was wrong, and it was awful, and I hated it.
I could not agree more. Canada, like, we can be a great country, but we can do better, and we need to do better. And the only way we're going to do better is if we educate ourselves to ensure, like I said, that this never happens again. And not only that, let's fix the problems that what's already, let's fix the drinking water in reserves. And why can anybody go to the reserves and get gas? That's a huge thing in Ontario. And I'm sure everywhere else is like, oh, we just go to the reserve and get gas. Oh, you just go to the reserve to get cigarettes. Oh, you just go to the reserve to get weed. Like, that's a thing. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. Let's just end reserves completely. Let's just give them back their land. And then maybe they can educate us how we can fucking save our land. Because like right now, we are running out of land. Because all we are doing is continuously building. My city is it's 3 cities combined because it's literally called the Tri-City. They are building 37 new high rises in the next 5 years because they cannot keep up with the demand of like where we live. No. Let's stop destroying this beautiful land to build fucking high rises. I'm tired of seeing these beautiful parts of land of just being like, oh, well, it's being turned into development. Like I used to live, there used to be nothing. There used to be beautiful farms behind it, gone. They're all homes now. All $1 million homes that no one can afford to live in. And you know, like, again, I'm not making this turn off into a tangent, but Canada, we can do better. And I know you can. So, I want to thank Amy and Juby for coming. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Come to Canada. Come have a vacation. Get that maple syrup and have a Tim Hortons.
Yeah, come see. Like, there's a lot of pretty things to see. There's a very, very dark history that I implore you to learn about and understand. But also there's a lot of really cool things here, and it's really pretty. And just pick up after yourself if you go to our national parks, because if I find your trash, I will call you trash. So
right. Don't be a trash dink.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, don't pick the national flowers. That's a huge
leave
thing.
them alone.
Yeah.
Do people do that?
Yes.
Oh,
it's a $500 fine to pick a trillium in Ontario. Because so many people pick trilliums. I do actually have one final question. I do want to end this off on somewhat of a cheery note. As fellow Canadians, we like Tim Hortons to an extent. GB, I know you're gluten-free, but what is your Tim Hortons order? If you have a Tim Hortons order.
Okay, I'm going to date mine back to the pre-gluten-free days.
Yes.
So like around, I don't know, 2013, let's say.
Yeah.
I was a solid like French vanilla, not even an ice cap in the summer, French vanilla in the winter time. And then either a cruller, like a honey cruller donut, or the vanilla dipped, either one. And then the ham and Swiss sandwich that they do not make anymore. That makes me really mad because people deserve it. But yeah, that was my order.
I like it. Amy, how about you?
Mine drink is kind of the same, like either like French vanilla cappuccino, like a medium, or I'd get like a double steep tea.
Okay.
Those are really good. And then I would get like, I'm not a big donut person, so I'd probably either get like their frosted cinnamon rolls, which are pretty good. I haven't seen them in a while though, but and then either like their chili with a bun or their chicken noodle soup with a bun.
Very, very good answers. For me, I was an apple cider girl when they had apple cider because it was the best.
Apple cider days.
They were so good. I used to work at Tim Hortons, and that's when they had apple cider, and that used to be my drink. But after that, I've become a French vanilla or an ice cap girl. I'm a Timbit person through and through. I got to get 5 chocolate Timbits, 5 birthday cake Timbits. Or if I'm like, oh, they don't have any of those 2 flavors, I would get a chocolate dip donut, a peanut butter cookie, or a Long John if they have any of those. But anytime I'm sick, I have to have Tim Hortons chicken noodle soup. It's just something in it, just like literally like heals your soul. I don't know what. I don't know what it is, but it like literally heals you. Last but not least, I want to end the stereotype. Do you ladies like hockey?
Funny enough, I don't.
Okay.
I only just learned that the Stanley Cup was I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I guess, or I don't know, something like that.
It was last week.
Oh, okay, cool. Because like I only just learned it was like in June. I think it varies, but I was very sure it was like in April. Like I went many, 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 many years assuming it was like March, April.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, see, okay, thank you.
It's not just that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be the stereotype. I love hockey. So as soon as you said that, I'm like, baby girl, we're not even in playoffs. Like we might just be getting into playoffs.
I'm the weirdo that likes curling.
Okay, but that's a huge thing is curling.
Fun.
Yeah.
Not in Ontario. I mean, obviously some people in Ontario, but like if you're a Leafs fan, you're bred to be a Leafs fan in Ontario. It's our thing.
Yeah. No, the Canucks, from my knowledge, they never won a game. I've been to a few games and they never won anything. So to me, I'm just like, well, that's the end of hockey for Jubiesims.
you know the Leafs haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967, right?
Who is winning the Stanley Cup all the time? We can't just let the Canadian teams win.
Actually, it's American teams. I think the last time a Canadian team won was 2002, and I think that was Calgary.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
go Calgary.
Yeah, it's actually the powerhouse of hockey is Tampa Bay Lightning. I could see the New York Rangers, the Boston Bruins. I want to say that's it. And, like, you have, like, obviously, like, your Minnesota Wild and like your other like middle states, but yeah, it's US has won a lot, and Canada came really close to winning in the COVID year. It came down to Montreal and Tampa won. But
Wow.
that should have been the Leafs year because the Leafs should have beaten Montreal Canadiens. But the Montreal Canadiens played dirty. So that's why we didn't win. Also, Marner doesn't know how to score, or Matthews don't know how to score in a playoff game. And I'm a Leafs fan, so I can say that. But if anyone comes out to me that's not a Leafs fan and says that, I'll be like, how dare you? You don't know. But Amy, Juby, I want to say it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming here today and indulging, teaching the outside of the world. Honestly, it's crazy. Out of this, like, people listening to my podcast, no one in Canada really listens to it. It is more, I have more
That's
UK
sad.
listeners. I have way more UK listeners now than even American
Go
listeners.
UK.
It is UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Asia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
You're a global girl.
I am a global girl. It's crazy. I used to have a lot more Canadian listeners, and then they all went to the UK apparently. Like, my entire UK is just because, like, I can see the metrics of, like, listen, like, everything UK is red. It's just all red.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I don't know what really anybody in the UK besides Simmer, so that's not my mom listening to. So I appreciate that.
That's kind of funny though, because like my spouse and I were in the process of trying to get EU citizenship.
Yeah.
Because his mom was born in France, so we're like trying to get that going, and I'm like, yeah, man, I want to go live in like Ireland. So
Fuck yeah.
yeah, so if you see the little thing pop up with like Ireland, then you'll be like, oh, there she is.
She's over there.
Yeah.
She's listening. It's so funny. So because I was looking in, because, like, I can pinpoint down to the city. I can even pin down to the area of the city. So I was like, because sometimes I'll listen out to the podcast, like, after making sure, like, it sounds good on Spotify and all that good stuff, and especially if there's any errors. And, like, the one day I was like, listen to this podcast that frequently in the city, because it showed up in my city constantly. No, there's an actual fan in my city that lives about 5 minutes away from me, and because I can see exactly where she listens, or they listen.
Oh my gosh.
That is how pinpoint I can get it. And I'm like, okay, that's creepy that I have that much information of where my listeners live, down to the street. That's
Jeez.
fucked.
Analytics are getting crazy.
Analytics are
That's like,
definitely...
okay, that's like standard GIS analytics.
No, I know, but, like, I shouldn't be able to be like, oh, they listen here.
Oh, you got the local
like
Tim Hortons.
Well, it's like when you go to the grocery store and they're like, can I get your postal code? And you give them your postal code, and then they take those analytics and they're like, oh, people from this area of the city are coming all the way to this area. And then they use that in, like, all their analytics about how people are driving and transportation. And that's a whole tangent that I could go on.
Did you want to come back and talk about that? Because that's literally how social media marketing works. It blew my mind to show my former manager. So, fun fact for any social media managers out there, if you live in Canada, I'm going to give you this fun tidbit, my final last Canadian tidbit. If you are looking to see where the most businesses are in your neighborhood, go to the Canadian Post website and pretend to send out a mailer. If you do that, it will break it down per postal code, and you can go from residence, apartment, home, school, business. And say you just want to see businesses, you can say businesses that make 100,000 a year to 20 million to $1 billion, and you can select which ones you want, and it will give you the radiance of where all the businesses are. So you can pinpoint, okay, so and let's say postal code N2E has 600 businesses here. So, okay, so I know if I need to do targeted advertising, I'm going to go there because that's where the most businesses are in my guaranteed area.
Oh, wow.
That's wild.
That's handy.
Marketing guys 101. Because I used to work in the print industry, so I used to deal with mailers all the time. So I knew that pretty quickly. And then when I switched over to marketing, I was like, oh, just go to Canada Post and plop that in there. And you can, like, again, even residents, you can say, oh, okay, so N2Z has 15,000 residents here. Okay, so if I want to sell central air, because we all have to have central air by 2035, I'm going to target this family because I'm going to go down to even rentals. And then you can even gauge to how old the homes are or how old is the neighborhood. Like that's how fine-tuned you can make it, like mailers on Canada Post's website. And that's not trapped behind a paywall. Anybody can do it.
No, that's like free public access.
Yeah. Fun marketing tips, guys. If you're in Canada and you're like, I don't know how to, like, where to start and find businesses, that's what you do. That's literally how, like, I blew my boss's mind, my old boss's mind. He's like, holy shit, like, how do you know that? I was like, it's right there. Just gotta look. Well, Amy, Juby, absolute pleasure. Amy, where can we find your amazing work?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Elfishlyamie, same thing on Twitter, and YouTube is Elfishlyamie as well. I post speed builds and all that kind of good stuff there. So that's where I'm lurking around.
Love it. Juby, where can we find you?
You can find me at Jubiesims on Twitter and Instagram, and I have a YouTube now. So you can find me there.
I have seen some of your YouTube videos pop up. I was like, oh, Juby has YouTube?
Yeah, it's a new thing. We're trying. It's
I like it.
2023.
Do you have a TikTok?
Oh my God. Okay, I have a TikTok, but I am afraid to use it because people on TikTok are very mean and very scary, and I'm afraid of them. So, but I do have a TikTok.
Dude, reach out to Cookie because she's blowing up on TikTok right now.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah. She like started a couple months ago. I think she's already at like 60,000 followers.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. Reach out to them. Also reach out to Nard Villain as well. He's a good kid. He's like really big on
I was gonna say
everywhere.
I was gonna say with Nard, I was gonna message him and be like, hey yo, you wanna do like a speed build challenge? But I was scared to like message him.
Honestly, he is the sweetest guy ever. We have done now 8 Real Life with Stassi podcasts together. Like he's become one of my he's become one of my really like best friends. Yeah, reach out to Nard Villain, guys. Nard Villain, love you. Podcast. Yeah. Forgot we were recording there for a second. Yeah, go reach out to him. Like he's like he just got 10,000 followers on Instagram with I think one of his reels just hit 1 million. We'll hit 1 million by tonight. He now has 43,000 subs on YouTube, and I want
his content's really good. So
it's
like,
amazing.
Yeah,
that's he's a videographer. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
So like you can tell he loves his craft. I absolutely love him. We've become like really good friends, and like there's nothing more I can say besides he's an amazing guy. And if you're not following Nard Villain, I don't know what you're doing. Go follow Nard Villain. But before we end up, this podcast actually had a sponsor today that I have sponsorships now, which is fun. It helps pay for things.
Oh yeah.
Ladies, as on this call, as makeup wearers, we know what it's like to have, baby peach fuzz on our faces. Well, you know what? I have no shame in the game. I've got lots of peach fuzz on my face. Okay, I'm a white girl. You just feel it. You go like, oh my God, Jen. You go like, good old fuzz. You know what? NARS wants to come out here and help you. They sent me their new skin smoothing serum. You literally just rub it on. The hair like falls off your face. It makes your foundation go on smoother. It makes your moisturizer go on smoother. As a girl who doesn't typically wear makeup, I really appreciate it. I'm a moisturizing girl. I'm an oil girl through and through. When I have a soft, smoother face, you don't really see like the fucking crinkles and all the lines. It really does make a difference. So if you want to check out that product, it is exclusively in Canada. Please go check out today's sponsor, NAR Face Smoothing Lotion. So please go check them out. And thank you again for making me part of your summer campaign. I really appreciate it. Helps pay for the wedding. So please go check that out. And as well, if you like what I do and you want to be on Real Life with Stassi, please send me a message. This season will be filming until between now and November. So please, 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 if there's a topic you want to talk about, there's no topic that's too shy to talk about. In the upcoming weeks, I will be sitting down with an OBGYN talking about the importance of ovarian health. I will also be sitting down talking about infertility. I will also be talking about the importance of good credit scores and what happens if you don't have one. I'm also talking about Yellowstone. Okay. So there's like really, we can talk literally about anything. So if anything interests you, please reach out. Also, I am on Patreon. I now have 2 Patreons. Thank you, Mimi and Alex. I appreciate you guys supporting me. If you want to become a Patreon and you like what I do, please consider subscribing. I really do appreciate it. Last but not least, if somebody reaches out to you and asks you for money to come and to get an interview with me, that is not me. Someone is pretending to be me out there. I do not ask for money to come here. I want my guests to come here and share their stories. There's not a paywall to this. If somebody reaches out to you, Stassi_J_unplugged_podcast@gmail.com, that is not me. So do not give them money. Please report them. If they message you on Instagram, please go report them there as well. I don't do that. And I have to keep saying that because I thought I was in the clear until today. And then somebody reached out to me today saying that they had gotten an old email from them. So
That's annoying.
Please, if someone reaches out to you, I reach out to people. I reach out through DMs. You know, like my social links are always below. Please do not give this person money. Please. Anyways, and the person, if you're listening to this and you're doing this, please stop. Because you're hurting my reputation. And not only that, both of you ladies have been on this podcast your first times. Did you guys have fun your first times?
Oh, it's
yes,
a
we
blast.
did. Yep.
Right? This person is taking that joy away from somebody, from getting to come on here and share their story. So please, if you're listening and you just want to emulate me, please stop. Please stop doing it. It's not a fun game anymore. You're hurting the people around me, and you're hurting people who thought that they had an opportunity to come get interviewed by me, and you just take their money and run. So please stop. But Amy, Juby, absolute pleasure. Please go check out Amy. Please go check out Juby. Thank you for coming here and indulging me and what it's like to be a Canadian. Obviously, we had to start the conversation off talking about weather. I couldn't think of a more appropriate way, and then ending it with Tim Hortons. So I want to thank you ladies both. I also want to thank my listeners today, and it's also Canada Day. Please be safe out there, and please be mindful as well if releasing fireworks. We do have a lot of Ukraine refugees right now, so please don't do it in residential areas. Please do it in safer areas because it can be very triggering, and it's also triggering to dogs. So please be mindful of that. Love you both, and thank you guys so much for coming here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Well, have a great rest of your day, ladies.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.